Are your Social Security benefits in danger? The Social Security Administration has just announced a controversial new rule that could leave up to 170,000 beneficiaries without their monthly payments. If you or someone you love depends on these benefits, the next few minutes could save you thousands of dollars and countless headaches. Has the government gone too far with these new restrictions? What exactly changed? And who's most at risk? And most importantly, what can you do right now to protect your benefits? Before we dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss critical updates about your benefits. Also, leave a comment below with any questions you have about this new rule, and I'll do my best to answer them in my next video. Now, let's get into what this rule change really means for Social Security recipients across America. When the Social Security Administration makes changes to its policies, millions of Americans hold their breath. The latest rule revision, which takes effect next month, has created a wave of anxiety among beneficiaries, and for good reason. This change specifically targets continuing disability reviews and income verification procedures, potentially affecting approximately 170,000 recipients who might find their benefits suddenly suspended or terminated. So what exactly is changing? The Social Security Administration is implementing stricter enforcement of its Medical Improvement Review Standard. Under this new approach, beneficiaries classified as medical improvement expected or medical improvement possible will face more frequent reviews and more stringent documentation requirements. The administration claims this is necessary to reduce fraud and ensure benefits only go to those who truly qualify. But critics argue it creates unnecessary barriers for legitimate recipients who already struggle with health challenges. You might be wondering, who falls into these categories? Typically, these include individuals with certain mental health conditions, musculoskeletal disorders, and some autoimmune diseases where symptoms may fluctuate over time. The problem is that many of these conditions, while they may show temporary improvement, are chronic in nature. A person might have a good month followed by 3 bad ones, but if they're reviewed during that one good month, they could lose benefits they desperately need. Think about Sarah, a 54-year-old former nurse with fibromyalgia who has received disability benefits for the past 8 years. Under the old rules, she was subject to review every 3 years, but with this change, she'll face evaluation every 18 months, with a more comprehensive medical examination. For someone who struggles with chronic pain and fatigue, just preparing for and attending these additional appointments creates a significant burden. The financial implications of this rule change are profound. When benefits are suspended during a review process, recipients often face impossible choices between medications, housing payments, and basic necessities. For many, the average monthly benefit of $1,470 represents their entire income. Even a temporary disruption can trigger a cascade of financial crises from which it's difficult to recover. What's particularly troubling about this new approach is the timeline. Once flagged for review, beneficiaries have just 10 days to respond to notices and begin gathering medical documentation. For those with cognitive impairments, limited mobility, or limited access to healthcare, this compressed schedule creates nearly insurmountable challenges. How can someone with severe depression or physical limitations be expected to coordinate with multiple medical providers, complete complex paperwork, and potentially attend new examinations in such a short time frame? Another concerning aspect is the increased emphasis on consultative examinations with SSA contracted physicians rather than a beneficiary's own treating doctors. These one-time evaluations often fail to capture the complete picture of a person's disability, especially for conditions with symptoms that fluctuate over time. A 45-minute appointment simply cannot provide the same insight as a treating physician who has monitored a patient's condition for years. So who stands to lose the most from these changes? Statistically, rural beneficiaries, those with limited education, and people without strong support systems face the greatest risk. Without advocates to help navigate the increasingly complex review process, many will simply fall through the cracks of the system, not because their medical conditions have improved, but because they couldn't overcome the administrative hurdles placed in their path. But wait, isn't there a process to appeal these decisions? Yes, but that's another area where the new rule makes things harder. While beneficiaries can request reconsideration and eventually a hearing with an administrative law judge, the backlog for these hearings now averages 14 months. During this waiting period, benefits remain suspended unless the recipient qualifies for continuing benefits, which themselves require additional paperwork and approval. It's important to understand the historical context here. This isn't the first time the Social Security Administration has attempted to tighten eligibility requirements. In the early 1980s, a similar push resulted in approximately 490,000 people losing benefits, many inappropriately. The backlash was so severe that Congress eventually passed legislation restoring benefits to many and reforming the review process. Are we witnessing history repeat itself? The Social Security Administration defends these changes as necessary fiscal responsibility. According to their projections, the new rule will save approximately $2.8 billion over the next decade, but critics argue this represents a savings of less than 0.3% of projected Social Security expenditures during that period, hardly worth the human cost of benefits disruption for some of our most vulnerable citizens. So what can you do if you're concerned about how this might affect you or someone you care about? First, make sure your contact information with the Social Security Administration is current. Many beneficiaries lose benefits simply because they never received the review notice. Second, maintain regular visits with your treating physicians and ensure they're documenting your condition thoroughly, even during periods of relative improvement. This contemporaneous medical evidence is your strongest protection. Consider consulting with a disability advocate or attorney who specializes in Social Security law. Many offer free initial consultations and only charge if they successfully help you maintain your benefits. These professionals understand the nuances of the review process and can help ensure you meet all deadlines and documentation requirements. If you do receive a continuing disability review notice, respond immediately. Don't wait until the deadline approaches. Begin gathering your medical records right away and consider asking your doctors to provide letters specifically addressing how your condition continues to limit your ability to work, even if you've experienced some improvement. For those who face a cessation of benefits, request reconsideration within 10 days and explicitly ask for benefit continuation during the appeal. Be aware that if you ultimately lose your appeal, you may have to repay these continued benefits, so consider this option carefully. Community resources can also provide vital support during this challenging process. Local legal aid organizations, disability rights groups, and even some senior centers offer assistance with Social Security issues. Don't try to navigate this complex system alone if you don't have to. It's also worth noting that congressional representatives often have staff dedicated to helping constituents with Social Security problems. If you followed all the proper procedures and still face difficulties, reaching out to your representative's office might help resolve the issue. Looking at the bigger picture, it's reasonable to ask whether this approach truly serves the stated purpose of program integrity. For many recipients, the stress and hardship created by more frequent reviews may actually worsen their medical conditions, creating a cruel cycle where policy intended to verify disability instead exacerbates it. What's particularly frustrating for many advocates is that there are alternative approaches that could better balance program integrity with beneficiary well-being. For example, implementing a more nuanced review process that considers factors like age, duration of disability, and condition stability would target reviews where they're most needed while reducing unnecessary stress on those least likely to have medical improvement. Some experts have also suggested expanding the use of continuing disability review diaries, which allow claims examiners to set appropriate review intervals based on individual circumstances rather than broad categories. This personalized approach would be more efficient and humane than the current one-size-fits-all model. The timing of this rule change is also noteworthy, coming as inflation continues to erode the purchasing power of fixed benefits. Many recipients are already struggling to make ends meet with benefits that haven't kept pace with rising costs for housing, food, and healthcare. Adding additional administrative burdens at this time seems particularly challenging for an already vulnerable population. If you're wondering about the political dimensions of this issue, it's worth noting that disability policy rarely falls neatly along partisan lines. Both Republican and Democratic administrations have attempted to reform the disability review process, with varying approaches and degrees of success. What matters most is not which party proposed a change, but whether that change serves the core purpose of the Social Security disability programs, providing a safety net for those unable to work due to disability. As we've discussed today, the new Social Security rule represents a significant challenge for many beneficiaries. While program integrity is important, so is ensuring that those who legitimately qualify for benefits aren't lost in administrative red tape. By staying informed, maintaining good medical documentation, and knowing your rights in the review process, you can help protect yourself or your loved ones from unnecessary benefit disruptions. Remember, The Social Security disability programs exist because we as a society recognize that illness and injury can happen to anyone, and when they do, we have a responsibility to provide support. These benefits aren't charity, they're earned through years of payroll contributions and are designed to provide dignity and basic financial security during times of need. If you found this information helpful, please hit that like button and share this video with anyone who might benefit from it. Subscribe to our channel for more updates on Social Security changes and strategies for protecting your benefits. And remember, knowledge is your best defense against benefit disruptions. Stay informed, stay prepared, and don't hesitate to seek help when you need it. Until next time, this is Your Name, reminding you to take care of your health and your benefits.